But first to the war in Ukraine. The battle for the capital city of Kyiv appears to be underway, with Russian missile and airstrikes on the city and reports of pitched fighting on its outskirts. Ukrainian President Zelensnky spoke tonight and told the people of Kyiv to prepare for the storming of the city by Russian forces. This as fighting continues in the central, southern, and eastern reaches of the country. And this evening, President Biden requested that Congress fund $6.4 billion in humanitarian aid and defense aid for Ukraine. Again tonight, Nick Schifrin begins our coverage.
It has been 81 years since the world witnessed this. Kyiv, a city of 2.8 million, under large-scale attack for the first time since it was sacked by Nazi Germany. This apartment complex hit not by a Russian missile, but by the remains of a Russian plane shot down by Ukrainian defenses. And as sirens blare above, exhausted families filled metro stations that double as bomb shelters. They fled their homes with only what they could carry, including furry friends and the prized possessions that help a people under siege maintain their spirits. As is Ukraine's military. It shot down this Russian aircraft, and a senior U.S. defense official says Russia is, quote, not advancing as far or as fast as they believe they would be. Ukrainian military command and control remains intact. And President Volodymyr Zelensnky hit the streets and social media to urge defiance.
We defend our independence. That's how it'll go. Glory to our defenders, both male and female. Glory to Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini.
But all is not well on the southern front. Russian troops leaving occupied Crimea are pouring in, captured on a CCTV camera before a soldier climbed a pole to point the camera down. A senior U.S. official says Russian troops in the south are advancing past Kherson and splitting off and heading toward Mariupol. In Kakhovka, Russian forces are battling for a dam and power plant. On the Sea of Azov, thousands of Russian troops are coming ashore, and Russia continues its assaults toward Kyiv and, in the east, on Kharkiv, where journalists took cover in drainage pipes and military vehicles were left smoldering. For many Ukrainians, it's all gotten too much. Soldiers had to fire warning shots at Kyiv's train station. Thousands are trying to flee. Families who make it to Romania's border have to split up. Ukraine blocked 18 to 60-year-old men from leaving. Juliana is from Western Ukraine.
We don't believe Putin, and we have our daughter, so we are afraid.
Alana from Kyiv.
There are lots of fights, so that's awful. There are nothing good there. Just blood, ruins, and all the wars that war can bring with it.
War has also brought Russia economic punishment. Today, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki announced the U.S. is sanctioning Russian President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov.
What we are hoping the world takes away from this is the unity through which the United States, President Biden, is working with our European partners and allies.
The European Union and United Kingdom today did the same. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock.
Today we answer with an absolutely clear message. This will drive Russia to ruin.
There's a full-fledged invasion of a partner, a country that borders several NATO allied countries.
For the first time today, NATO activated its response force, which allows up to 40,000 additional NATO troops to bolster the eastern flank. NATO allies worry any conflict in Ukraine could spread to the rest of Europe. Today, American F-35s landed in Romania, and the first of more than 300 American soldiers arrived yesterday in Latvia. Despite it all, today Zelensky, speaking in Russian, offered diplomacy.
I'd like to address the Russian president again. Fighting is going on the entire territory of Ukraine. Let's sit down for talks to put a stop to people dying.
Russian officials responded with mixed messages, but Foreign Minister Lavrov said Russia's goals remain maximalist.
Russia will provide the demilitarization of Ukraine. Russia will provide the denazification of Ukraine.
But these Russians want nothing of the sort. For the second straight day, thousands protested. And for the second straight day, police shut it down. Independent researchers say authorities detained hundreds in more than 24 cities. In Washington today, Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S., Oksana Markarova, urged the West to impose stronger sanctions and send more weapons.
We would like, together with our friends, allies, and partners, and definitely together with all of our armed forces, to get there faster, so we are not losing the bravest and the best that we have.
But some of Ukraine's bravest have already fallen. This soldier live-streamed an attack. He and 12 fellow soldiers died guarding Snake Island off Ukraine's coast. Back in the capital, at the epicenter of today's destruction, Kyiv residents cleaned up. This is only day 2, and they fear what's to come. But for now, they sing Ukraine's national anthem, ending with "Long live Ukraine." For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.